How's it going, guys? Today we're going to take some cuttings from some plants. This one right here is a coleus, and we're going to propagate a whole bunch of plants around the property. There's a few things that I just can't find anywhere in any garden center anymore. A lot of our garden centers are winding down for the season. It's getting too hot. And normally once we hit summertime, everything dies down and they really stop selling plants. Usually it's after Mother's Day, but this year it's kind of been pushed back. So what I'm gonna do is I've got some snips and I have a mason jar full of water, and I'm gonna go around the property and take some cuttings of a few plants that I would like a few more of, and we're just gonna let them propagate for the next week or two, and then they should be ready to grow on. So it really doesn't take anything special. All I have is a mason jar full of water and some snips. A lot of these plants just propagate super easily, coleus being one of them. This is one that I'm really excited about. You guys saw me plant this thing up. The coleus is doing beautiful. The sweet potato vine is doing beautiful. It's actually starting to reach the ground. And I came in here and I tucked in this little sedum right here, and it's actually trailed quite a lot, and I'm really happy with it. And these guys right here, I planted 2 of them in here, and they just have not fared very well. They're actually super infested with aphids, and they're staying directly on these plants. I've already sprayed them with neem oil and everything. It doesn't matter. So I need to come in and I need to pull these out. One of them has totally died. This one has a few blooms left on it. They just need to get pulled. But I do want some more of this coleus, because look at how beautiful that is. Like, that is gorgeous. So we're gonna take a couple cuttings, and it's super easy. So we've got one that we want to take a cutting from, this one right here. And I'm gonna go down just like this. And this guy right here will actually go ahead and branch off 2 new shoots, and it'll shoot one that way and shoot one that way. Then, since we have this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in and cut these lower leaves off, and I'm gonna also cut these ones off right here, leaving just these top ones like that. And we're gonna pop this in water, and roots will grow all along this stem. I'm gonna do this for a few more of these, probably 3 or 4 of them. So just pop these guys in the water, and these guys are ready to go. And in about 4 weeks, we should have roots growing on them. They'll be about 2 inches long, and then they'll be ready to pot up. So these right here are some pothos leaves that I propagated about 2 months ago. And what has happened with them is I just had these guys in water, and they went ahead and they have all grown roots. And they've also started to put out some side shoots. So I should have potted these up when the roots had started to grow. They're actually pretty long now, and they have been able to push this out. So what would normally happen is you would take your cutting when it's got roots, you know, about yay long, pot it in there into the soil, and then it'll actually grow extremely fast once it reaches the potting soil. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of them, and some of them are further along. You can see the leaf on this little shoot that it's put out. So I've got 6 of these guys right here, and I'll just go ahead and put these in a little container, and then I'll have a brand new pothos plant. And these were all done from cuttings. So you can see that the cutting was actually pretty small. All it had was this little node right here that's a growth point, and 1 leaf on it, and that's all I did with these little teeny tiny cuttings. And then I just popped these into the water, and they grew extremely fast. So let's go get the rest of the things off the property that I want to make sure that I have a couple more, at least for fall time, or maybe even next year. Okay, so I have 4 different plants that I was able to pull from the garden. I pulled the coleus that you guys saw. I pulled this right here. This is some honeysuckle from the espalier that I did right over here. And then I pulled some butterfly bush. And then this right here is a hibiscus. This is called mahogany slender. You can see how some of these are pretty wilty right now. So what I need to do is I need to now prep them for this. So what I need to do is remove most of these leaves. So pretty much everything that's down low, and then all of these big leaves are coming off. So I'm leaving it pretty much with just very few leaves. This thing needs to go into focusing its energy into growing roots and staying alive, not so much into anything else. So this is now going to go into some water. I might cut this just a tad bit shorter, just like that. So short little guy just like that. And I'm going to do the same thing for this, removing all of these lower leaves, cutting the stem a little bit shorter, and getting rid of all of these big leaves here. Perfect, just like that. All of the small leaves are still there, one big leaf. We want to leave some of it on there, but not much. That'll make it so that it can still photosynthesize really easily, bring in the energy from the light, and focus its energy into root growth. We're going to do the same thing with the honeysuckle right here. Going in, removing most of these lower leaves just like that, popping this down into the water just like that. Same thing, I'm only going to keep some of these small leaves like this, popping off those, and just repeating this process. So we've got these guys like that. These look pretty good. And I'm going to come in and give a fresh cut, taking them about to that height right there. Perfect. Next up is these coleus. This is too many leaves on it. So we're going to remove these big ones like that, leaving just 2 leaves. Popping those in there. This has just 2 leaves. I'm probably going to take one of these off, leaving just 1 leaf. And same here, leaving just 1 leaf. And then this has way too many leaves, so I'm going to come in and cut both of these side guys off, and then I might leave both of those. Now as far as the butterfly bush, I'm going to root some on some of this hardwood. So you guys can see this is softwood and this is hardwood. You can see the difference. One is green, one is brown. This is this year's growth, this is last year's growth. So what I'm going to do for this though is I'm going to come in, and it has blooms on it. We're going to go ahead and cut these blooms off, cut these lower leaves off, and then cut these leaves in half, a little more than half. Stick this into some water, and then same thing for this area right here. We're gonna come in, cut most of this top stuff off. Doesn't need to support that. What I'm gonna go here and do is score this just on one side, and that should be good to go. Putting this into a jar of water. Same thing for this stem. We're gonna cut most of this top off like that. That is a piece of dead. That is good like that. Then we're gonna go in and we're gonna score this up just a little bit, and then place this guy into some water. Okay, so now that we have those guys rooted, the next thing that we're gonna root is this. This is an African violet, and they're one of my favorites. So they're very easy to root. I'm taking it out of its nursery container, and we're just gonna pull one of these leaves off just like that. They come off pretty easily, and all we're gonna do then is take these leaves and we're just gonna pop them in a vase of water. I like this one specifically. I don't even know what it's for. I got this at the Goodwill a couple years ago, but I like it because it goes down like this to a neck, and these leaves don't fall in here. So I actually use this one a lot for propagating pretty much everything. So I'm gonna probably do this with 2 more leaves and leave these guys in here. African violets are a little bit finicky, so with propagating these guys here, I do expect kind of a few of them to not make it. 4 leaves from this guy should be absolutely perfect. So you can see I've got the 4 in here just like that. And the goal with this is to make sure that these leaves don't get wet. If the leaves get wet, they're actually very temperamental and they end up dying. So what I normally do with my African violets is I actually have a tray that is very specific grown for African violets. I will link one down in the description below. It's an African violet pot. But with this guy, you can see the hard water lines on here. What I do is I leave this in a tray, and I leave water in this at all times. It is always sitting in water. It never dries out. If it dries out, it's very unhappy with me. But you can see the blooms on this guy. My mom ended up having one that was about this big around, and it always had 100 of blooms on it. It was so beautiful. So maybe one day I'll get there. The next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna take cuttings from snake plants. They're one of the easier things to take cuttings from, and it's kind of scary because what you do is you come in here and we're gonna go kind of down low. I'm gonna cut this leaf off like that, and then we're gonna cut this leaf into a piece like so. And then this is just gonna sit in water. I'm probably going with this clothespin and attach the snake pin to the edge of this so that way the bottom is sitting in water. And then I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna cut this guy in half also, and put this in water and put this one in water. And that is how easy it is to root snake plants. They are so easy to continue to propagate. And what will happen is from the base of these where they were cut, new little pups will shoot out. You'll get little babies popping out, and there'll be little teeny tiny things, and they're actually really cute. And then once those take off and start to grow, then you can cut this back and you see the roots grow. Then you go ahead and you pot that into new potting soil and you have a new plant. So for now, these are just gonna sit in here like that. I have not potted up the pothos yet. I just put them in some fresh water. So I have lots of cuttings. Now what I need to do is put these guys in a window where they're gonna get lots of light. So these guys are gonna go into a west-facing window where they get lots of bright light, but there's also, they're gonna go actually where the coleus were at. So they're getting some protection from that hot afternoon sun, but they get lots of bright light. If I were to put them somewhere like a north-facing window, that would be perfect because they're never going to get hit with direct light, but they will get lots of bright light. So you want to make sure that it's somewhere that it stays very bright, but nothing hitting these guys very directly. So I have all of my little cuttings here, and I expect in probably about 4 to 8 weeks at most, these guys should take off and start producing roots. Maybe at first they'll be little tiny guys, but that's totally perfect. So the one that I'm most excited about probably is the coleus. I love propagating coleus. I do it every year, especially in the fall time before the frost takes my coleus. And I'm also really excited about this, the honeysuckle. I plan on doing more espalier in my garden, and this is one really good way to get free plants. The other thing is the butterfly bush. These, I might keep one of them, or they might go over to a neighbor's house who I'm helping her do her landscape pretty much on a budget. The African violets, one will probably go to my mom when she comes back out here, and the other ones I'll just enjoy having even more. And snake plants, this guy is actually looking a little bit thin. You can see there's a pup right there, but it does need a couple more tucked in here. So I would like to be able to put a few more to fill that back out. So going over other things that you can propagate though, there's so many things that are super easy to propagate and grow from just simple water cuttings like this method right here. There's basil, there's trees that you can grow hydrangeas, you can grow pretty much every herb that's out there. Oregano is a really good one to propagate. You just need to rip off all the leaves. Pretty much you don't want anything green, so the foliage, in the water. So oregano, basil, thyme, all of those grow very, very easily from cuttings. And trees go really easy from cutting. Boxwood grow easy from cutting. All these different plants. There's a huge list of them out there. And honestly, you can pretty much just try anything and almost guaranteed that it'll grow. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. That is gonna be it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys. I wanna come on and apologize really quick because you'll notice throughout this video that I bounce around a few different times. The lighting today has been really weird. It's been really bright. All of a sudden there's storm clouds moving in, and then they disappear and it changes the lighting. So it's kind of a weird day. So I just wanna make sure that I come on here and apologize that I moved like 3 times during this. So I'm sorry about that. Bye.